KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Ijumaa tarehe 6 na Jumamosi tarehe 7 mwezi Juni tutakuwa na mobile clinic Kilifi pale Pwani University. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening in time for Prime Edition, and we'll take you through the day's news. Business will come later on, and also later we'll have the sports news with Daniel Wahome. But first, we take a look at the day's highlights. Cost of medical negligence. Court orders the Aga Khan Hospital and a doctor to pay 157 million shillings to a patient after 18 years of legal battle. Approved. Parliament clears 7 nominees for appointment as IEBC commissioners. And a boost for the creative industry. American-based production company Invention Studios to set base in Kenya. Well, our sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Maurer, and my name is Wairimu Njenga. Now we kick right into it, and the Aga Khan Hospital and a doctor have been ordered to pay a patient 157 million shillings for medical negligence. In the landmark ruling, Justice Alexander Muteti stated that the hospital and the doctor were grossly negligent, or rather neglected, in their performance of duty, occasioning the patient Naila Kwareshi a life-changing injury and trauma by removing her cervix without her consent. Now, Muteiti said the special damages pleaded by Naila was specifically proved during the 18-year-long trial of the case. Here is that story.
Wednesday at Milimani Psychiatric Criminal Division, Naila Qureshi awaited the culmination of her 2-decade quest for justice journey following surgeries gone wrong. The surgeries done in 2005 and 2006 left her unable to give birth anymore. On these 2 years, the Aga Khan Hospital, through Dr. Rafik Paka, is said to have unskillfully performed medical procedures that damaged Naila's cervix and ruined her life forever. Delivering the judgment, Justice Alexander Muteti stated that the hospital and the doctors were negligent in performing their duties. The judge said that after a critical analysis, he had concluded that Naila only consented to the removal of her uterus and ovary, but they went ahead to remove her cervix without obtaining a necessary consent. The court further averred that following the injuries, it has proved that Naila lost her job on medical grounds. The judge further ordered that the costs and the interest be given to Naila and her husband at court rates from the date the suit was filed. The court also ruled that the Aga Khan Hospital breached the contract by allowing Dr. Rafik Parker to practice in the hospital, knowing too well that he had been barred from practice in Uganda.
In the judicial processes in Kenya, that people can believe again that might take long because of the bureaucracies of the moment, but at the end, certainly, justice gets to calm down. Well, naturally, it's within their right under the law to appeal the decision of court. If they appealed, we will naturally be obligated to defend the appeal, defend the gains that this judgment presents not only for my client, but for the jurisprudence in the field of medical negligence in Kenya.
A delighted Naila said the long wait for justice was worth it.
It has been a rough road for me, but then the RRI system came in and my case was in court for 18 years. And after 18 years, I got justice and victory.
After 2 decades, numerous adjournments, patience and despair for Naila, finally justice has been delivered for Naila, a first of its kind for medical negligence in Kenya. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani's High Court.
Now, the National Treasury is seeking Parliament's approval to securitize 12 billion shillings of the Road Maintenance Levy Fund to access necessary funds to settle pending bills. Currently, the government has securitized 7 billion shillings on Road Maintenance Levy Fund and accessed at least 62 billion shillings for contractors owed by road agencies.
Appearing before the National Assembly Public Debt and Privatization Committee, Treasury Principal Secretary Chris Kiptoo defended the government's strategy to borrow using future revenues to be collected under the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, saying it provided essential funds required to restart road construction projects that had halted due to lack of funds.
Along the way, we had this initiative that came on securitizing the 7 shillings of the RMLF, which was increased last year. And that went through the process with cabinet approval. Of course, it has to still come to Parliament. And I think we have referred also to 12 shillings in this, which means there is an additional 5 shillings being proposed also to be accommodated, so that a total of 12 shillings will be ring-fenced.
To enhance the clearance of debts, Treasury seeks to securitize an extra 5 shillings on top of the 7 shillings to reduce the funding cost of road projects. MPs, however, are concerned that securitization is only increasing the loans and debt burden.
My specific question is, what is the cost of this loan? Are there commitment fees?
And therefore, if a contract was worth, let's say, like $1 billion, by the time the contract is executed, we'll have paid like $2 billion. So the very essence of borrowing that money is now put into jeopardy. It's of no use.
The issue of securitization is one that is a new phenomena. We haven't really had this before. And in situations where we haven't had a lot of work, especially in the road sector, initiatives came up, and this is one of them that came from the sector, to say it is also possible that we could ring-fence part of the money to jumpstart the road sector.
The Public Debt Committee is also concerned about the cost of the loans the government is obtaining using the levy fund. Treasury is expected to reappear to explain measures it's taken to deal with the payment of commitment fees for loans that are yet to be unutilized. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
And the National Treasury is actually seeking Parliament's approval to securitize 12 shillings. And currently, the government has securitized 7 shillings of the road maintenance levy. We apologize for that. Now, moving on to other stories, the President William Ruto has formally welcomed into the country 6 new ambassadors and high commissioners from People's Republic of Bangladesh, Sierra Leone, Rwanda, South Sudan, Singapore, and the Dominican Republic. Now, the envoys who presented their credentials to the head of state on Wednesday morning at State House, Nairobi, vowed to support Kenya's mission in Haiti, dialogue's effort to resolve conflict within the region and expanding lucrative markets to broaden economic opportunities for the nation. Abdiaziz Hashim has that story.
On Wednesday morning, 6 new ambassadors and high commissioners presented their credentials to President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi. One after the other.
By dint of Article 132(4)(b) of the Constitution of Kenya.
The ambassadors committed to enhancing ties with Kenya.
It is my earnest hope that I shall succeed in my endeavors to promote further the relations that exist between our two countries.
In March 2025, we commenced negotiations on an agreement to collaborate on carbon credits. These developments reflect our commitment.
Kenya and Rwanda enjoy strong relations that continue to grow from strength to strength. Our partnership is evident in areas such as trade, infrastructure, education, security cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges.
The envoys further vowed to support Kenya's peacekeeping missions.
At a time when you had troops deployed alongside the KDF in Somalia to bring peace and security in that country.
And spearheading the United Nations mandate multinational security support mission to Haiti. We fully recognize the commitment and sacrifice involved in the deployment of Kenyan police officers. This is not only a gesture of solidarity, but a courageous and historic step toward global peace and regional stability.
In February this year, President Ruto announced the adjournment of the ongoing mediation talks between the South Sudan government and the country's opposition holdout group. According to the head of state, the temporary break paved way for important consultation to take place, which will help determine the next steps in the peace process.
Kenya's unwavering support during our liberation struggle at the birth of our nation and in the pursuit of peace has been invaluable.
On boosting diplomatic relations, President William Ruto reaffirmed Kenya's commitment to strengthening relations with other nations to boost trade.
And to pursue to the widest extent possible by promoting the interests of your country and working together in collaboration to ensure that the interests of our two countries are nurtured.
Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
Well, the National Assembly has approved a report seeking the appointment of 7 individuals to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Justice and Legal Affairs Committee Chairperson George Murugara, while presenting the report Wednesday, said Erustus Ethicon approved this to serve as the chairperson of the 6-member met the suitability criteria and fit to serve. The commission says that Ethicon had assured the committee that intact he had the spine to deal with elections. Now Kam Chimenza tells us more.
Erastus Edun Ethicon.
3 days after holding the approval hearings for the nominees for IEBC chairperson and members, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has approved the appointment of all the nominees and tabled its report.
But I hope every member has the chance to read this report, to acquaint himself or herself with it, so that you know the reasons why the committee has made a recommendation that we approve the 7 nominees.
The committee defended its position, saying all objections raised by the public were addressed. Considering the report, MPs urged the commission to uphold integrity.
We want you to carry the image of this republic. We want you to continue to project the respect the Kenyan people, through this parliament, have allowed you.
Najua hino kazi na mitihani mingi sana, lakini nawaombea Mungu inshallah wakati ambapo utafika wa kuanza kufanya kazi zao, wao wanaweza kulindwa na Mwenyezi Mungu na wasimame na haki na usawa.
To speak to those out there who are looking at these people on the basis of their ethnicities, on the basis of the villages they come from, let me tell them, you will never win an election on the basis of who is presiding over that election. You win elections based on what agenda you take to the people.
As members of that opinion, aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Their swearing in, however, still hangs in the balance following a court ruling. Meanwhile, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi now says the government is working on a plan to ease the tax burden on Kenyans in the upcoming financial year, including the controversial housing levy, whose implementation has faced growing public backlash.
I think there is a discussion around seeing how to restructure it, because, again, it has serious benefits, in my view. Quite a number of projects are coming up, but at the same time, the individual employees, those with pay slips, have complaints, which you cannot ignore.
Mbadi also revealed that internal reforms at the Kenya Revenue Authority are underway, aimed at enhancing efficiency and sealing revenue leaks.
Let us see what the reforms at KRA, in terms of automation and in terms of making it efficient, is yielding to us. Then we can now move to the next step of reducing the tax rates to increase disposable income. But
he spoke when he appeared before the Senate, maintaining that tax regularization would only follow after KRA demonstrates consistent performance in meeting its revenue targets. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Now we take our first commercial break. We'll be right back with what's happening around the counties, as well as in business and also in sports.
Je, umewahi kuwa na deni ya KRA? Basi usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Ijumaa tarehe 6 mwezi Juni tutakuwa Kilifi. Tutazuru maeneo ya Sauti House kupitia GPO, Bondeni, Coast General, Nyali Bridge, Bombolulu, Kenol Nyali, Shanzu, Mtwapa, Kilifi Market, Pwani University, Gede, Matsangoni, Malindi Town, kisha tumalizia Malindi Stadium. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Hey Dad, you need to take that girl to hospital. She's not eating, she's not speaking, she just stares blankly at one point.
Sasa unatakaje?
Kuhusu nini?
Utaishi hivi mpaka lini?
Namaanishaje? Are you okay? Well, is there a time that you're ever in your senses?
But why is it that I have a strong feeling maybe you're meeting somebody serious?
You know you're very interesting, Mark. Why exactly would I be meeting someone?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kenya. Wake up with Good Morning Kenya, the morning show that's got it all.
We dive deep into issues shaping our country.
Youth are a voice of a nation.
What is the next step for the young people?
Unpacking political landscape from Monday to Wednesday.
We discuss family matters.
It is very important to guard your relationship.
And for your health.
Someone doesn't wake up and they become an addict. It's in stages.
We've got you covered each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Every Wednesday, it's all about the viewpoint.
A day in politics is like 1,000 years.
Unpacking the biggest stories of the week, getting you insights and getting you ready for your day.
And the package is not yet done. I get to fix your Thursday with some entertainment. Entertainment Thursday, it is.
Good morning, Kenya.
We shape your day.
Good morning, Kenya. Every weekday morning on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. You are still watching Prime Edition. Now, the government of Kenya is keen to have Invention Studios, a Los Angeles-based production company set base in the country to spur the creative industry. The announcement follows a strategic meeting held earlier Wednesday between the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy and Sports, Salim Vrier, and Invention Studios President Nicholas Weinstock. The meeting comes ahead of the International Creative Economy Conference scheduled for 5th June 2025. During the meeting, Cabinet Secretary Mvurya reaffirmed the government's commitment to harnessing the full economic potential of the creative industry, highlighting its central role in bottom-up economic transformation agenda. He emphasized that the ongoing policy reforms, infrastructure investment, and fiscal incentives are aimed at increasing the sector's contribution to the national GDP from the current 5% to 10% by 20. Administration Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has pitched for enhanced partnership to support Kenya's effort to reduce disaster risks on key sectors, including disaster risk reduction, preparedness and response, as well as post-disaster recovery and reconstruction. Now, the CS also noted that the government is at an advanced stage working on legal framework on disaster management, a key step towards fostering anticipatory action and protecting lives and livelihoods from disaster. Murkomen was speaking on the sidelines of the 8th session of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, that is GP 2025 in Geneva, Switzerland. Now, the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction is the main global forum to assess and discuss progress on the implementation of the SEDAI framework for disaster risk reduction.
We are working on the legal framework. You know that disaster management law is now at advanced stage in Parliament that will give us both regulatory and governance structure that is responsive to the two levels of government, but also the modern challenges we are facing insofar as disaster is concerned. In terms of our planning, in terms of our programs, we are expected that we mainstream all the policies and plans that we have based on the 2017 policy framework.
Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Felix Koskei has issued a stern warning to principal secretaries to clean up their dockets of risk-compromising public trust. Addressing principal secretaries from across all ministries during the high-level meeting in Nairobi, Koskei drew a bold line against corruption and stressed that President William Ruto's administration is committed to doing things differently, and that includes stamping out waste, or rather mismanagement and impunity. Ben Chumba reports.
Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Felix Koskei has taken a hard stance against corruption, calling on the country's top bureaucrats to lead by example in uprooting what he called deeply embedded rot within government departments.
I want all of us actually to fight this corruption wherever we are, in each and every state departments that we are manning, every parastatal that are under us, to fight it. We want to change the perception, because there is no any other transactions that is being handled in State House or Arambe House. All procurements are done in our offices.
Addressing principal secretaries from across all ministries during a high-level meeting in Nairobi, Koskei did not mince words.
There are even people who are small thieves. Just imagine people who include themselves in even trips that they don't go, manipulating per diems, earning per diems, and yet they don't go.
Koskei described alarming instances of public officers demanding bribes to serve even their own colleagues, and warned that such actions not only erode service delivery but also tarnish the government's credibility.
Why is this corruption tag around all the time? So let us take charge and make sure that we clean up government, and we restore trust around government, because we are doing very well, but still that tag is still being bandied around.
He emphasized the need for principal secretaries to supervise government boards closely, work hand in hand with internal auditors, and ensure public resources are managed transparently.
We are determined to ensure that no shilling from taxpayers' money is lost. And we have put elaborate systems. You've heard me talking about governance issues. You've heard me about PSS being very close, having close supervision on the boards and management of parastatals. You have heard me talking about enhancing and supporting auditors.
With qualified audit reports on the rise and public confidence wavering, the Chief of Staff made it clear that principal secretaries are not just administrators, but they are the backbone of accountability. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Now, to the scales of justice, 5 suspects implicated in the murder of Kasipul, a member of parliament, Charles Ongondowa, will remain in custody and undergo mental assessment before taking a plea. Here is that story.
At the Milimani Criminal Division, 2 suspects, Isaac Kuria and the late Charles Were's bodyguard Alan Omondi Ogola, appeared virtually before Justice Margaret Muigai. The court directed that both undergo a mental assessment before they can take a plea. Justice Muigai further ordered that they be provided legal representation, either privately or through a state assistance. The case will be mentioned on Wednesday, June 18, 2025, for further directions. 3 other suspects, William Imoli Shigali alias Aimo, Edwin Oduor Odhiambo alias Muchani, and Abel Ochieng alias Dave Kolo, were arraigned at the Kibera High Court, but could not take place with the charges until mental assessments are completed. Justice Diana Kavetsa ordered the trio to be detained at the Nairobi Remand Prison for 14 days to allow for evaluation at Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital. One of the accused will be held in isolation following security concern raised in court.
I want you to say his words, exact words. What did the suspect say?
He said,
Can you show me the person who uttered those words?
I heard those words myself personally.
Yes.
The gentleman in the white shirt.
Bail was denied for all 3 suspects due to alleged threats made against the prosecution team.
As the chair of the CUC, it's my duty to ensure that your rights are not violated and that you do not violate the rights of others. The mere utterance of the words "huyu tutamua" has frightened the prosecutor out of this court. The question is, how about the witnesses? It is on that ground alone that the 3 of you will be denied bail at this juncture.
The matter is scheduled for mention on Tuesday, June 17, 2025.
Defense.
And a magistrate court has dismissed claims by Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Salasia that he was tortured while in custody. Principal Magistrate Paul Mutai ruled that the court lacks jurisdiction to release exhibits at this stage and directed the case to proceed to pre-trial on Wednesday, June 18, 2025.
Under the circumstances, I find no evidence to show that his rights as contemplated under Section 25A were violated and the application by defense stand dismissed.
Salasia was charged with hate speech on Monday, May 19, 2025, and was released on a cash bail of 200,000 Kenya shillings. Letua Debra for Prime Edition.
Approximately 67,000 eligible taxpayers have benefited from the ongoing tax amnesty offer by the Kenya Revenue Authority from waivers, and the taxman has generated approximately 15.5 billion shillings against the projected 30 billion target. Now, the Kenya Revenue Authority is calling on taxpayers who still owe the taxman penalties and interest to update their records by the end of the month to enjoy the amnesty offer. The taxman and its media partner, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, continued with the last leg of the tax services caravan in Makueni. The caravan toured Salama, Sultan Hamud, Emali, Makindu, Kibwezi and Mutito, and where residents stand up for sensitization with KRA staff offering free return filing services.
Nimefile my returns na bure kabisa, sijalipishwa chochote. Pia nilipata kufanikiwa sana, maana mwaka wa 2018 nilikuwa na penalty ya 20,000 ambayo nilipigwa fine na ikawa sijui nitafanya nini, lakini nimepokea ile amnesty ambayo ni kusamehewa. Hiyo deni ya 20,000 imefutuliwa mbali kabisa na haiko tena. Kwa hivyo nahimiza kila mwananchi popote alipo hapa Makindu na kwingine aweze kujitokeza, kama ako na PIN aweze kufile returns hata kama ni nil returns.
Now to what's happening in the counties. 2 police officers died on the spot in a road accident along Eldoret-Malaba Highway near Matisi area in Bungoma County. The head-on collision involved a police Land Cruiser and a long-distance truck. Elsewhere, Muslims across the country have donated 5.4 million shillings to the Gaza Uthia Program 2025. This and more stories in our county's roundup.
The 2 police officers attached to Bungoma Kenya Railway Police Station were en route to Bungoma when their vehicle collided with a long-distance truck.
They collided on the spot. 2 officers were in that vehicle and all of them perished.
And in Meru County, over 550 children with the clubfoot condition have received free medical treatment at Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital. The initiative was aimed at facilitating access to treatment for many children who face stigma associated with the condition.
Hali ambayo inaweza rekebishwa kupitia kwa njia ya kufinywa ama njia ya kurainishwa ama njia ya upasuaji.
Elsewhere, Muslims across the country have donated 5.4 million shillings for the Gaza Uthia Program 2025. The chairman Voices for Palestine, Ahmed Sharif, said the program aims to feed the starving population of Gaza through the sacrificial slaughtering of cattle, which will be done in Egypt.
Muslims all over the country have come together to donate Kenya shillings 5.4 million for this Gaza Uthia Program 2025. The program aims to feed the starving population of Gaza through the sacrificial slaughtering of cattle, which will be done in Egypt.
It's hard to be able to relieve all at once, but the small efforts we make, inshallah, will make a difference.
Kenyans are being challenged to use the Eid ul-Adha celebrations to give back to the society. Pwani Patriotic Religious Leaders Chairperson Sheikh Abkatada says the public holiday offers an opportunity to share with the underprivileged.
Tuweze kuwakumbuka ndugu zetu ambao kwamba wanapitia changamoto na hali nzito ya kimaisha maeneo kama haya, kwa sababu dini yetu ni dini ya huruma. Dini yetu inatufunza tuwe ni wenye kuwasikitikia wale ambao kwamba hawana nafasi ya kimaisha.
The government has gazetted Friday, June 6, 2025 as the Eid ul-Adha holiday.
Many workers access their retirement benefits when switching jobs, unaware of the impact it has on their future. Taking out your retirement savings too soon reduces the income you will have when you retire, leaving your future less secure. Have you thought about the lifestyle or income you want to retire with? The earlier you start saving, the better. And the more you save, the more secure your future will be. Increase your savings today and live your golden years the way you've always dreamed. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
He tortured you, didn't he?
I've done this to a lot of people, but there is no way I'm going to let him leave this room. He's going to know who Jamal really is.
What are you not telling me?
Baraza is trying to frame us. That's it. Listen, this is my house. you're the one who needs to leave. So get out now.
This is my father's house, and you need to come with us right now.
Come with you where? Come with you where, Paul? And if I don't, what will you do? What exactly will you do? Do not come near. You need to leave me alone.
Now we take a look at the day's business news. Now, Parliament is proposing major budgetary realignments targeting more social programs. And its revised 2025-2026 fiscal year, the budget estimates, or rather the Budget Appropriation Committee has trimmed the national budget to 4.2 trillion shillings, a slight drop from the previous year's 4.3 trillion shillings. The estimate report, which was tabled in the National Assembly on Wednesday afternoon, now heads to the floor of the House next week, where members are expected to debate the proposed estimates. In a shift aimed at reining in public debt and prioritizing development, the Budget and Appropriation Committee has proposed a 4.2 trillion shillings budget for the financial year beginning July 1st. Out of this, 1.8 trillion shillings has been allocated to recurrent expenditure covering salaries, government operations, and ongoing programs. Development expenditure channeled towards infrastructure and long-term investments stands at 707.8 billion shillings. The committee has outlined various measures aimed at fiscal consolidation, prudent spending, and targeted investments. Overall government spending is capped at 2.53 trillion shillings, with the Kenya Revenue Authority tasked with collecting 3.3 trillion shillings in total revenue, including ordinary revenue and appropriation in aid. Education takes the largest portion of the budget, receiving 701.1 billion shillings, accounting for 28.1% of the entire budget. Energy, infrastructure, and ICT sectors have been allocated a combined total of 500.7 billion shillings, the second highest share, while the health sector is expected to receive 136.8 billion shillings. The agriculture sector will get 78 billion shillings, with 8 billion shillings earmarked for the fertilizer subsidy program. The executive will control the bulk of the budget at 2.497 trillion shillings. Allocation to Parliament stands at 47.9 billion shillings, while the Judiciary and the Judicial Service Commission will receive 27.7 billion shillings. On debt repayment, the Parliamentary Committee is proposing a total of 1.337 trillion shillings to be used to repay debts. Counties are set to receive an equitable share of 405.1 billion shillings if the proposals of the Budget Committee sail through. The National Assembly is expected to debate the budget estimates ahead of the formal budget presentation on Thursday next week. Still on the Budget and Appropriation Committee has recommended that Parliament approve budget estimates for the national government's recurrent expenditure capped at 1.8 trillion shillings, covering essential government salaries and maintenance of public services. The committee noted that the increment in the recurrent expenditure was affected due to an 8 billion shillings increase in the ministerial projected appropriation in aid. Here is Nduta Mukami with the details.
The National Treasury presented budget estimates to Parliament on key areas where the government has ramped up efforts towards fiscal consolidation. This has seen the Budget and Appropriations Committee propose that Parliament approve allocations guided by expenditure ceilings. Key among them includes further highlights that the Equalization Fund be capped at 9.6 billion shillings in a bid to reduce regional disparities and to promote equitable development across all counties. Ndota Mokami for Prime Edition.
National Treasury plans to employ additional pension officers to audit existing pension claims and fast-track payouts. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi says the government and the private agencies will be required to pay accrued pensions as a first charge. He was addressing the Senate earlier on in the day.
According to the Controller of Budget, the government owes retirees 108 billion shillings in unpaid pensions and gratuities. The National Treasury is now blaming the pension accumulation on paperwork that has increased fraud cases in the pension sector. Badi says a contractor has already been procured to create an automated pension management system.
That's very important for the people that vote for me to come to this house to know that when they serve the public and eventually they retire, then they will receive their pension at the next month.
When you allow manual systems, it is open to abuse. And we have also identified that some pensioners have been defrauded through collusion, even between pension staff and also the bank staff.
To reduce pension backlog, accrued pension will be paid as first charge.
The Treasury is committed to ensuring that pension obligations are fully funded and liquidity challenges are minimized. And to achieve this, prioritization of pension payments. Pension payments are treated as a first charge.
Additional pension officers will be employed in the next financial year to hasten pension claims, with a multi-agency team set to carry out forensic audit on existing pension claims before the payments are made.
Strict pension verification procedures that is being instituted, and this will help us reduce errors, fraudulent submissions, and unauthorized payment.
In efforts to clear pension payment backlogs, a receivership team has been put up to auction KCC and post pension funds to pay off retirees.
RBA has already put up receivers in place to work out on how to pay these creditors, along which part of the creditors are former employees.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Startups have been urged to develop innovations that offer local solutions to secure more funding and ensure maturity. Now, Kenya National Innovation Agency Chief Executive Tony Omwansa says many startups are also failing due to over-reliance on foreign venture capital. In Kenya, only 2 out of 10 startups go beyond proof of concept stage, leading to a high number of failing startups.
In 2024, Kenya emerged as Africa's leading destination for startup funding, securing approximately $638 million, accounting for 29% of the continent's total startup investments.
Thinking about the type of partner that you're looking for, who can have some level of innovation in terms of providing more patient capital, because the whole point of venture debt is providing more patient capital, aligning your capital to your business model, to how you're growing as a business, to the revenues you're receiving.
Despite the country's dynamic startup ecosystem and growing investor network, it still faces critical challenges. This include fund repatriation, lack of investor incentives, and a weak pipeline of investor-ready enterprises.
Can we create more instruments that are locally relevant by attracting local funding? And that's why we hosted corporates. That's why we are hosting a lot of funders here who are local. And we have other engagements around local funders to try and build instruments that are more appropriate, that are more sensitive to the reality.
To correct this, experts are calling for local instruments that can merge cash flow cycles, lower risk profiles, and reflect operational realities.
There are high net worth investors here who can be patient, all right, and who can be appreciative of the local ecosystem, incentivize them. And it's not that there are no appropriate incentives. Knowledge for people to appreciate. And so growing the local funding and investor ecosystem is a top priority.
The Kenya National Innovation Agency Chief Tony Omwansa says this will also give room for more research-based startups, increased corporate involvement in innovation, and strong startup support.
How do you scale sustainably? Meaning, how do you make sure you're scaling, but always keeping in mind these unit economics? Always keeping in mind that your unit cost versus your unit revenue needs to be positive at the end of the day. So always thinking about not relying on external capacities, but internally building a business that actually can sustain on its own.
Startups are slowly gravitating from the growth at all costs to sustainable growth. A key dynamics in as far as sustainable business development is concerned, with experts calling for localized or customized instruments to ensure that these particular startups, not just in Africa, but also back here at home in Kenya, access patient capital for growth. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
The government and the private sector have been encouraged to fund soil testing startups. Experts say soil startups will help increase soil information sharing, improve agricultural production in the country.
The latest report on soil health in Kenya from the Soil Atlas unveiled in March 2025 indicates that only 20% of Kenya's land is suitable for food production. Data-driven soil testing and management practices are among the tools Kenya can use to stop soil degradation, with startups collecting soil data to help farmers grow crops through best practices.
How do we, at the county, national level, and even development partners and private sector come together to have quality data that can be fed into AI models, and more importantly, sustainable business models for the startups that we've seen?
Our fertilizer, we normally import it here. And so the government, if the government supports the local innovators, this will create a field for the local innovators to develop and also to grow.
Currently, soil testing can cost between 1,500 and 5,000 shillings per sample, with experts saying innovators can help drive the costs downwards.
There are some policy recommendations that came out really strongly on soil testing. Or are we having, for example, financial institutions, something that I learned today, how can financial institutions or other partners during KYC collection make it a bit more mandatory for farmers to have soil testing data?
Speaking during this year's Data Soil Health Summit in Nairobi, experts say improved crop yields, reduced fertilizer costs, sustainable farming practices, and increased profitability are some of the biggest benefits of soil testing and data-driven soil management solutions for farmers. Experts are calling for more collaborative efforts to encourage innovators to data share on issues of soil health that will see Kenya's farmers benefit in the long run. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has put education, hospitality and property management sectors on notice, issuing a directive to prepare for mandatory data protection inspections starting July. Data Commissioner Immaculate Kasait made the announcement during a meeting in Nairobi. Here is, or rather, reaffirming that the Data Protection the Data Protection Act of 2019 emphasizing continuous compliance monitoring that is no longer optional. These three sectors, all of which handle significant volumes of personal data, will be required to ensure full compliance with data protection requirements or face regulatory consequences.
So what we've done, we've developed an inspection tool which we shared today, and we'll also share with all the stakeholders who are in these sectors. And really our work is we're asking them basic questions around the Data Protection Act. Have you, for instance, registered? What kind of data are you collecting? Have you undertaken a data protection impact assessment? Those are generally the questions to have a sense. Do you have a data protection policy? A sense of where they are in the roadmap towards ensuring data protection.
And for us in international schools, where we're working with the data subjects that are drawn from all the parts of the world, it is important for us to look at our systems and look at what it exactly needs to be done, so that the privacy of our young people and safeguarding of the information is done appropriately.
With this training, at least now we have started building a relationship with the Office of Data Protection, and now we'll be able to inform our members to register so that they can be ready for the inspection. So first is the registration bit, which we are ready for, and more trainings to our members, because like I said, most of the times we do as sole proprietors, and sometimes maybe this registration was meant maybe for institutions. So we'll be ready to be registered and also to comply.
Now we take our second commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have Daniel Wahome with the day's sports. Don't go anywhere.
The men and women in boots, they are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall.
Laziness, it is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Ben Troy Njoe.
"19 nations will compete in the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania 2024, which will be staged from 2nd to 30th August 2025. Amongst the 4 groups in the tournament A to D, Kenya is pooled in Group A, together with Morocco, Angola, DR Congo, and Zambia.
Algeria from the set piece, the header is on target, but it's...
This unique competition featuring the best locally based players from across the continent definitely has something for everyone. Just bring your A game as you let it flow live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome to Prime Edition Sport. Now, the successful hosting of the delayed 2024 African Nations Championship, CHAN, will set the stage for a promising 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. This was affirmed today during the unveiling of Tecno as the official mobile phone for the 2024 CHAN and the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. The 8th edition of the African Nations Championship is set to be co-hosted by the East African nations, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, before they co-host the AFCON finals in 2027.
The 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN will act as a marker for Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, who have affirmed their commitment to hosting a successful championship. The Confederation of Africa Football General Secretary Veron Omba challenged the East African countries to put their best foot forward, even as he assured that the 2025 championship will be of high quality, reflecting the African football standards.
The Pamoja was awarded, and it creates a huge interest for the people, because to combine football and this part of the continent is something incredible. So we are looking forward to this competition here in the beautiful part of the continent.
Meanwhile, CAF has unveiled Tecno as the official mobile phone for the 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN and the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, in a partnership that's expected to bridge the digital divide and enable easy access of matches to millions of football fans across the continent.
There are a lot of value together. Both of us have a lot of commitment to this continent, and both of us want to support the youth to getting their dream come true. So I think it's very unique, the uniqueness between the cooperation between Tecno and CAF.
In readiness for the championship, Kenya has intensified its preparations for the finals by upgrading Nyayo National Stadium in Kasarani, as well as renovating training facilities like Ulinzi, Kirigiti and Police Sacco. Uganda is upgrading Nakivubo Stadium and constructing new venues in Lira and Hoima, while Tanzania is renovating Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam and constructing new facilities in Arusha and Dodoma. Bernard Okumu, Prime Edition.
Now, the reigning world 800 meters champion Mary Moraa has expressed confidence in her ability to defend her title at the upcoming World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, scheduled to take place from the 13th to the 21st of September this year. Moraa hopes to secure her place in Team Kenya after she won the National Police title during the star-studded National Police Championships held at the Ulinzi Sports Complex.
The 13th edition of the National Police Athletics Championship culminated at the Ulinzi Sports Complex, bringing together athletes from the police service. In the 800 meters women race, Mary Moraa timed 2 minutes 05.05 seconds to emerge victorious, followed by her counterpart from Rapid Deployment Unit Vanis Kerubo in 2 minutes 5.26 seconds. Nairobi's Sandra Chepkoech settled for the third position in 2 minutes 06.32 seconds.
Hakuna pressure, nikiona wakimbiaji wamekimbia vizuri, hiyo ndio la yangu. At least ndio na feel kuna competition, ndio niende ni work hard.
The men's title was won by 2018 Commonwealth Games gold medalist Wycliffe Kinyamal in 1 minute 49.11 seconds, while 2022 World Indoor Championship bronze medalist Asbel Kipsang and Theophilas Kipchirchir timed 1 minute 49.23 seconds and 1 minute 51.17 seconds and 1 minute 51.17 seconds to finish second and third positions respectively.
Target yangu ni kukimbia kuimprove time yangu na kuingia championship.
In the 5,000 meters men's race, 2023 World Championship silver medalist Daniel Simiyu showed a splendid performance to clinch victory in 13 minutes 50.10 seconds, followed by Mayebei Kiplimo in 13 minutes 59.59 seconds.
As a ministry and as a National Police Service, we are certain that we are giving the best, just like we have done over the years.
Team Kenya to this year's World Athletics Championship that will be selected after the culmination of the national trials will be seeking to showcase their prowess and clinch more medals after finishing in the 5th position on the medal table with 10 medals in Budapest in 2023. Reporting for Channel 1 Sports from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
Now, Athletics Kenya meanwhile has announced that this year's Prefontaine Classic, that's the Eugene Diamond League meeting, will be used to select the men's 10,000 meters and women's 5,000 meters teams to the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. The Prefontaine Classic will take place on the 5th of July at the Hayward Field. This is at the University of Oregon in the United States. Kenya has a proud tradition at the prestigious meet, with many of its athletes delivering memorable performances and setting records over the years. Meanwhile, the selection for the men's 5,000 meters and the women's 10,000 meters teams will be conducted during the national trials at a venue which is yet to be confirmed. The 2025 World Athletics Championships will be held in Tokyo from the 13th to the 21st of September this year.
Big trials for the Kenyan team to Paris, over 10,000 meters. What we know now is the top 2 finishers are automatically on the team to Paris with a pick by Kenyan Athletics for filling that.
Team the Harambee Starlets have confirmed their participation in the Sekafa Senior Women's Championship that is set for Dar es Salaam, Tanzania from the 12th to the 22nd of this month. According to Football Kenya Federation, 5 nations regional championships will also feature South Sudan, Burundi, Uganda and host Tanzania. Harambee Starlets are currently in Morocco, where they held a training session in preparation for the international friendly against the Atlas Lionesses this evening in Tangier. The match will act as a build-up towards the Sekafa tournament, as well as the final round of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualify against the Gambia, which will be played in October this year. Meanwhile, the national men's soccer team, the Harambee Stars, departed last night for Morocco, where they're scheduled to face Chad in 2 international friendlies from this Saturday.
Everyone looks very enthusiastic and in good spirit. So I hope we're going to have a good week. And I think there's 2 friendly matches that's coming up. It's just to give everyone a little bit of match fitness, but to get us going for Chan, you know. So that's the purpose of this camp, and also the international players that I did call. They were players that I didn't really had much to see of them when we were in the last camp, and I just felt it was just a good opportunity for Will Wilson, who I think was very important for our two World Cup qualifying matches.
And in under 2 minutes, Germany are scheduled to host Portugal in the UEFA Nations League semi-finals at the Allianz Arena tonight after they defeated Italy 5-4 on aggregate, while Portugal beat Denmark 5-3 on aggregate after the match went into extra time to secure the spot. 2019 champions Portugal will be hoping that their poor run of form in 3 consecutive away games won't affect their ambitions of a second title triumph. While the Germans will be appearing in the semis for the first time and have a home advantage over their visitors. Spain will host defending champions France in the other semi-final tomorrow at the MHP Arena in Stuttgart, Germany. And so that's the sport for tonight. Definitely a full review of what's going down in the UEFA Nations League in our bulletins tomorrow, 1 p.m., 7 p.m., and also at 9 p.m. My name is Daniel Wahome. Have a good evening. Back to Wairimu, Njenga.
Wahome has put it. We have subsequent bulletins during the 7 p.m. as well as 9 p.m. tomorrow, and also during the 1 o'clock and 4 p.m. And that's where we put a cap on tonight's news. My name is Wairimu Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. Have a good night. Tomorrow is another day.
They say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you arts and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
The cochlear implants are inserted under the skin just behind the ears surgically.
It was the urge to give her son independence that informed the decision that Jackie Njeru took to have the cochlear implant.
I was told about cochlear implant surgery. When the child is young, test their ears. As you test the eyes, test the ears. If they cannot hear, okay, or if you are going for the listening and spoken language, you are going to train them to speak. Implant early and start speech therapy immediately.
Tell me in the tropics.